Hello, hello, good evening, and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, nationally syndicated first on 93 WIBC. We have got quite a show lined up for you this evening, and may I just say, you have picked the right time to tune in. When things start flip-flopping back and forth faster than a Cracker Barrel with a new shipment of syrup for the pancakes, boys and girls, it's time for some news. We're glad you're here. If you never joined us before, this little section of the show is our waiting for our syndication partners on radio and TV. They're playing their top of the hour news breaks and commercial breaks in my right ear, trying to confuse me while I'm speaking on top of them. You guys, we don't force you to listen to that. Instead, we chill here on the show. And I got one of the funniest messages I think that I've ever received. And I say funny as in I was a little surprised. Someone asked if they could create music to play instead of this kind of elevator chill music here at the beginning. If that's something you want to do and send us something our way for that, sure, you go right ahead. Doesn't bother me at all. Good to see you guys on the show this evening, especially our fantastic comment section. Nancy, good to see you. Everton, hello to you in Portland. Jim, good to see you as well. Dorian, David, Stone, Claudia, the other Claudia, Doug, E.E. Biggs, love the name. Good to see ya. Roselle, always great to see ya. Trash Man, Morris Knowles, hello to you. Gretchen, Kathy, E. Smith, Misfit, oh, so good to have you. Merlot tomorrow, whatever your name is supposed to be. I hear you on the Vance stuff. We'll talk about it a little bit tonight. Dirk, good to have you here. Richard Lincoln. PJ, Tony, I love Cracker Barrel in your show. I'm going to level with you guys. I actually have a little bit ought against Cracker Barrel because the portion sizes have decreased so substantially. Here's a question no one's ever asked me, but I'll answer it anyway. One of the things that bothers me the most is that when I go to Cracker Barrel, and I get the grandma's sampler because I like a little bit of everything on my plate. And the pancakes, as I've gotten older, have gotten much, much smaller. It bothers me. It's the size of a teacup saucer now. They used to be large pancakes, you know what I'm saying? And they used to have like all of the wonderful, I'm getting thoughts on to breakfast. One of the things that I've never been asked, but has always made me scratch my chinny chin chin, on the coasts, they don't enjoy big, hearty American breakfasts like many of us Midwesterners do, and those in the South. I prefer hash browns to grits, but I feel y'all down there. Red-eye gravy is delicious. When I was in college, and then my time, again, whenever I'm in Washington, D.C., we'll talk about that with Rob Bluey here in just a little bit. I don't understand how they don't get up and have a delicious, huge, Midwestern-style, calorie-filled, cholesterol heaven of breakfast. I don't understand it. Bewilders me to no end. All right, just over 2.5 minutes to go. Breakfast rants not included. Oh, meatloaf is delicious, Tracy. If it's made correctly, it is just phenomenal. I don't know about Cracker Barrels, but like my grandmother makes a meatloaf. And then my wife found out how to turn them into like muffins. Like she makes them in the muffin tin. Oh, I tell you what, I haven't eaten dinner yet. Just over 2 minutes to go till we break into that big news of the day. Again, if you've never joined us before, right now we're just waiting for our radio, TV, and syndication partners to get through their end of the commercial and news breaks, and then we'll get started with quite a bit tonight. Of course, monitoring situations from Los Angeles to Boston, all the way down to Florida and Fulton County in Georgia, Minneapolis, Iran, Jordan, the country, not the Michael. Gino, good to have you. Whiskey, great to see you in West Michigan. West Michigan. What a fantastic crew. Really glad that you guys are here with us this evening. If you like the show, you get, a few minutes into the show and you're like, wow, this Kinnett guy, he may be ugly, but he makes some good points. Hit the like button. It helps us out. Or even better, leave us a comment. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us why you do or don't enjoy a delicious, hearty breakfast. every single morning? Say, well, I'm watching my figure. Hey, you know what? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Amen. 1 minute to go. Yes, we do have a recipe channel in our Discord. The link to that Discord is in the description. And of course, you can check that out there. Join us chatting over there. Again, you don't have to do any spending any money on us. Judy, appreciate the $2 super chat. You say it's somebody's birthday today. If it's your birthday, a very happy 21st birthday to you, Judy. The only appropriate age to wish any adult lady a happy birthday. So hope you have a wonderful 21st. And thanks for the $2 super chat. Again, you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend any money on us, anything like that. We're just glad that you're here. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Tony Kinnett Cast. 10 seconds. Let's have a show.
Tony Kinnett.
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 Host of the Tony Kinnett Cast.
Let's get down to business.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WYPC.
WCYTV.
Here on the Daily Signal.
I'm going to level with you. I'm in a pretty good mood after today. And I'm in a good mood after today for a couple of key reasons. So for those of you who have never tuned into the show, you have no idea who I am. I am a former science teacher, specifically anatomy and physiology, biology, and I despise deeply those who would lie to children and suggest to them boys can become girls, girls can become boys. We can mess with your endocrine system, hormones, surgeries, whatever, however you want. The science says that you can be trans, and that was garbage then. It was a lie then. And now the American Medical Association is backing off of their recommendation that you can just lop organs off of children, sterilize them, mutilate them, because why? They've developed a heart. Oh, maybe the Grinch suddenly discovered the meaning of the Who's singing around the tree. No, absolutely not. The reason the American Medical Association has suddenly stopped recommending a ton of hormonal treatments, a ton of surgeries, and all other kinds of stuff is because trial lawyers are now for the first time winning huge cases in which a person who received gender-affirming care, allow me to give you a bit of advice. You follow any outlet that uses the term gender-affirming care for the mutilation of an individual's anatomy or the altering of a person's physiology via hormonal treatments, you need to find a better publication. We're going to talk about that with the Washington Post in a few seconds. But to finish this particular point, trial lawyers representing clients who were mutilated during their teenage years are now winning major lawsuits against medical organizations, insurance companies, against their physicians who recommended, covered, and performed these procedures. The plastic surgeons, whatever, conglomerate union, whatever it's called, has also said that, yeah, well, they'll do this stuff on adults from now on, but not kids, because, you know, they can be sued for it. So a big womp womp to all of the pro-trans crying, mourning, sad, weeping people in the country. Like, for example, Pramila Jayapal, who, again, in committee, makes it a point to just lose her mind over the idea that children may not be sterilized.
I am just so tired of the way that you target trans people in this country. I don't think I don't know if you've talked to a trans person. I don't know if you have family members who are trans.
So far, so good from Pramila, losing it, getting real weepy already. Good stuff.
But it puts people in very real danger.
That's true. Affirming mental illness, telling a person who is schizophrenic you can also hear the toaster talking is a very bad thing, because then people tend to do the kind of mentally ill things that come with being mentally ill. And I say that, by the way, given the severe mental illness crisis in this country that have resulted in not just self-harm and not just a ton of successful suicides, but a ton of horrible and failed suicides that have left individuals maimed and in pain for the rest of their lives. Affirming mental illness isn't special. The idea that, oh, you have someone who's don't walk around saying, yeah, I have depressed people in my family. I just tell them, finish the job. My God, no, you don't say anything like that.
It heightens people's fears of trans people. There's nothing to fear from trans people. Just get to know some. This is what happened with gay marriage early on, with marriage equality. People were like, oh my God, can't possibly tolerate marriage equality. But then guess what? You started to realize that we're all just people, but...
I mean, that is true. We are all just people. I hear you. I agree. We are all just people. But the idea that we all are just people means that all behavior is the same. All behavior is good. No one's responsible for anything. We just go throughout life, slapping affirmation on everybody, and nothing bad's going to happen is a foolish idea that has resulted in very bad consequences. Exhibit B, the reason that I am particularly pleased today, the Washington Post. The Washington Post has, well, let's just say gone through a bit of a downsizing. A particularly rough downsizing. They cut 1/3 of its workforce today. Over 300 journalists on their team, specifically their sports, their books, their local news, and their international news desks. Now you may say, Tony, why am I supposed to care if they laid off their international news desk people? Oh, you remember when they called members of ISIS and Hamas who died austere scholars instead of, terrorists? That crew. Oh, remember when they were reviewing books like Genderqueer and said, oh, it's totally fine for everybody. There's no child pornography in here except the explicit graphic images of child pornography. And I have a principle that the Washington Post, whose entire outlet laughed with glee as individuals on the right, not just the far right, but like the center-right independents were kicked off of social media, were kicked out of various newsrooms and outlets, and they said things like, learn to code. I do not feel bad for anyone over at the Washington Post or, God willing, the rest of the 2/3 of that failing publication and its other liberal benchmark publications like the New York Times, for example. But to put this quite clearly, there are some out there who suggest that it's very, very bad. How dare you suggest that it's funny that a lot of Washington Post employees, who, by the way, after Jeffrey Bezos bought the publication, then a bunch of Washington Post employees encouraged people to stop buying memberships to the outlet. Stop giving them money. And you know what happened? People stopped giving them money, which means the Washington Post had less money to prop up its failed journalistic sections. I know, you and I, we all turn to the Washington Post for incredible, in-depth sports reporting. I think if I was playing in a professional sport league of any kind, actually, a friend of mine was just made a starting forward for Milwaukee's soccer team. I'll have to ask him, if the Washington Post comes up and asks you for a comment, how quickly are you going to jump through the nearest window? So a lot of pearl clutching going on. How could you say that people shouldn't, this is not their fault. They're such wonderful people. Alas, let's get into some real news that affects you, not the toilet paper, which will now contain far fewer pages if you purchase Washington Post brand. Fistfights, arrests, protests, roadblocks. The immigration debate in the country continues. And to be very, very clear, right now what you are seeing is a war for public opinion. And the actors involved, which were boisterous versus boisterous. The Trump administration sending in Kristi Noem immediately, judge, jury, executioner, whenever there was a type of controversy. That has now been tamped back. Now you have Tom Homan giving 7:30 a.m. press briefings, which are something to behold for sure. The fights, arrests, and individuals over on the left side of the aisle who have taken to ICE Watch and documenting these kinds of ICE arrests of immigration law around the country are acting about as you'd expect. This is from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. The screaming and the yelling and the catcalling is, still out in the public.
Dirtbags! Dirtbags!
Now, I'll give her credit, although the fact, she's annoying like a lot of other people. At least dirtbag is a more creative word than the one or two other four-letter words that have often been shouted all over these videos, making them really difficult to censor for FCC Spectrum Air.
Get a real job! Dirtbags!
Back up! Back up! Back the
Dirtbags!
Back up!
So this individual tried to get in the car, wouldn't get out, wouldn't comply with officers. So now the federal agents are pulling them out. And there's the screaming, because there's always the lady off to the side screaming, ah, the horror.
Get out of my car!
Okay, this kind of behavior does not make the left look good. It does. Whoever appears to be calmer in a situation and handling things like an adult, that specifically is what Americans are going to gravitate towards. And what you're already seeing in the polling this week is a shift away from the low point in January for the Trump administration on immigration customs enforcement. Now that you have individuals that are running out acting like complete and utter idiots, screaming, "Get a real job," while they are not at a job. They are out screaming at law enforcement all day. It's not going to go the way that they think. In Los Angeles, they're protesting against fascism. So stunning, so brave.
And right now, they're operating like they are above the law. We're here to challenge a whole system that protects institutions instead of the people who are making the city great. We don't just cut the lead.
They always have the ASL person. I'm always amazed at how diversified. Leftist protests and press conferences are single-handedly funding ASL majors around the country.
We kill the poison at the root.
Radio crew will let you guys swing over to commercial. We're going to continue on the live stream. It's the Tony Kinnett cast here on the Daily Signal. Now, meanwhile, this is, again, a protest. Notice there's no burning things down. There's no acting stupidly at this particular moment. I do enjoy that they're claiming fascism is here. We're under Nazi rule. Guys, the Nazis, fascists throughout history, do not let counter-protests form at all. In a fascist country, you do not get to come out in front and say, yeah, Chairman Z's just like Winnie the Pooh. He's awful. I hate him. You don't get to get out there in China and do that. You don't get to get out in Russia and denounce Vladimir Putin. It's not allowed. You will be thrown in prison if you are lucky. In the United States, despite half the country calling Republicans fascists, Nazis, whatever you might have, they're perfectly fine, unless you, again, violate federal law. Now, there are some individuals that are taking some rather fascist approaches and setting up roadblocks and demanding people to prove they're not federal law enforcement. That's what's happening in Minneapolis, for example.
We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming and going in and out of our neighborhoods.
So they're creating roadblocks to stop vehicles and check their papers to make sure they're not ICE, using pallets of wood, a couple of stolen traffic cones, and what appears to be a really large, one of those little pizza plastic clippy things that you find in Papa John's pizza boxes. So this is the amazing road fortification roadblocks that are being set up by leftist protesters. But what the leftist said at the very beginning is rather key. You'll notice that she said, this is really good because now we can know who is and isn't coming in and out of our neighborhood. Let's play that one more time here.
In the middle of the road at 32nd and Cedar Avenue.
We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming and going in and out of our neighborhoods.
Wow, it's almost like it's some kind of a control of the border so that you vet those that are coming into an area around you and your loved ones.
In the middle of the road at 32nd and Cedar Avenue, a makeshift roadblock turned this intersection into a roundabout. Cars slowed as drivers noticed, some honked, others asked questions, and one man brought food for the people standing watch.
I'm sorry, I just love the local anchors just trying so hard to simp after any left-wing cause that they can. But alas, putting that aside for just a moment here, where are the local police? I was told the local police were going to, enforce the law. Jacob Fry made it clear. He said, we're not going to enforce federal immigration law. We're going to enforce our own laws. It is illegal in the city of Minneapolis to obstruct an intersection. It is illegal unless you have a permit from the city, which we've checked. These people do not. Again, people in the rest of the country are watching. You see buses of protesters in Boston.
Okay, people, here's the proof they're busting them in. You see? See the bus?
San Francisco, local 39.
And then you have the legislators over in Congress. It's a really weird thing. It's a very strange maneuver throughout all of this to attach the immigration customs enforcement actions, which were sort of working for the left, because again, ugly arrests on TV, people don't like the chaos, to now suggesting that any immigration action at all is a tantamount to fascism. Also, voter ID is terribly evil. They're going after individuals who are just innocently violating the law. Here's Senator Adam Schiff, California.
So is ICE operating any differently now that Greg Bovino has been pushed out It certainly doesn't look like it. This is what recently happened in North Hills to Carlos Chavez, a taco vendor who was chased on church property and detained by ICE agents. When, according to his wife, he explained that he had bronchitis and sought medical treatment in detention, they said he had to sign a form to get it. That form was his own deportation order.
His wife says that she actually spoke with him on the phone. He told her that he said to agents, I have bronchitis, I don't feel well. And they said, you want treatment? Sign this. It was a self-deportation order.
So people are losing it, I guess. Again, more protests in LA over the idea. How could they showed him this form and he didn't speak English and he just signed the form. My dude, that's on you. We got to bring the radio crew back from commercial. A lot more news to cover. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast, where the news right now is a strange foreign policy flip-flop of the United States and Iran. Earlier today, the United States had canceled talks set for Friday with Iran over a possible de-escalation matter between the two countries, fighting what the diplomats had described, at least according to Axios, as some kind of a potential off-ramp reforms that the Iranian regime could make. Very, very vague from the U.S. officials. The plans now, as of right now, 7:21 p.m. Eastern time, the plans for nuclear talks in Oman on Friday are now back on all of a sudden, with one small asterisk. So urgent lobbying from Arab and Muslim leaders, according to two U.S. officials, said, quote, they asked us to keep the meeting and listen to what the Iranians have to say. We will do the meeting if they insist, but we are very, very skeptical, one official said. So 9 regional countries had pressed senior levels of the President Trump administration not to cancel the talks. And here's why. The Trump administration said